हरे कृष्ण। त्वमज्ञानं तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Hare Krishna. So we will continue our discussion. So yesterday one question was there, like the sun cannot see darkness. Wherever sun turns, it becomes bright. Similarly, Krishna cannot understand our suffering. Wherever Krishna is always blissful. That is a problem. So we will just read our prayers. Actually, today also I did not open. We'll just do with Vedabis. Tomorrow I will start with. Actually, Monica Mata is sent, but somehow I'm not able to do it. We'll just start the prayers. By the end of this prayers, at least you all can by heart them. It's very few prayers, 30. कुन्ती उवाच नमस्ते पुरुषं त्वाद्यम् ईश्वरं प्रकृते परं लक्ष्यं सर्वभूतानां गर्भैरवस्थितं मायाजवनिकाचन्नम् अज्ञादोक्षजमव्ययं न लक्ष्यसे मूढदृशां तो नाट्यधरो यथा तदा परमहंसानां मुनीनाममलात्मनां भक्तियोगविधानार्थं कथं पश्येमहि स्त्रियः कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रये यथा ऋषिकेशकलेन देवकी कंसेन रुद्धातिचिरं सुचार्पितं विमोहिताहं च सहात्मजा विभो त्वयैव नातेन मुहुर्विपत्पणात् विषान्महाग्ने पुरुषार्थदर्शनात् असत्सभाया वनवासकृच्छ्रता मृदे मृदे नेह महारतास्तो धौम्यस्तश्चास्मि हरे विरक्षिता विपदः सन्तु ता शश्वत्तत्र तत्र जगद्गुरो भवतो दर्शनं यस्यादपुनर्भवदर्शनम् जन्मैश्वर्यसुतश्रीभिर्येधमानमदपुमान् नैवार्तुमपि दातुं वै त्वां किञ्चन गोचराम् नमो किंचन वित्ताय निर्वित्ता गुणवित्तये आत्मा रामाय शान्ताय कैवल्यपतये नमः मन्ये त्वां कालमीशानं अनादिनिधनं विभुं समं चरन्तं सर्वत्र भूतानां यन्वितः कलिः न वेद कश्चित् भगवं चिकीर्षितं तवेहमानस्य निनां विडम्बनं न यस्य कश्चित् दयितोऽस्ति कर्हिचित् देश्चस्मिन् विषमामतिर्निनाम् जन्म कर्म च विश्वात्मन्मदस्या कर्तुरात्मनः तिर्यन्विशिशुयादिषु तदत्यन्ता विडम्बना गोप्या ददे त्वयि कृतागसिधाम तावत् या ते दशाशुरकलिलाञ्जनसम्भ्रमाक्षम् वक्त्रं निनीय भावनया सुतस्य सा मां विमोहयति वीरभ्यधिवेति केचिदाहुरजं जातं पुण्यश्लोकस्य कीर्तये यदो प्रियस्यन्मयाये मदयस्येव चन्दनम् अपरे वसुदेवस्य देवक्यां याचितो भगादजस्यम् अस्य क्षेमाय वदाय च सुरद्विषाम् भारावतारणान्ये भुवो नावो युवो ददो सीदन्त्या भूरिभारेण जातो हि आत्मभुवार्थितः भवेस्मिन् क्लिश्यमानानां विद्याकामकर्मभिः श्रवणस्मरणार्थानि करिष्यन्निति केचन शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृणन्तभीक्ष्णशः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना त एव पश्यन्त चिरेव तावकं भवः प्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम् अप्यद्यन्नस्त्वं स्वकृते हितप्रभो जिहासि श्रुत्सुहृदो निजीविनः येषां न चान्यद्भवतः पदाम्बुजात् परायणं राजसु योजिताहंसम् केवयं नाम रूपाभ्यां यदुभिः सह पाण्डवा भवतो दर्शनं ऋषिकानामिवेशितौ ज्ञेयं ज्ञेयं शोभिष्यते तत्र यथा धीनं गदाधरा तत्पदैरणिका भाति स्वलक्षणविलक्षणैः इमे जनपदा सुप्ता सुपक्षोषधिविरुदा वनाधिर्नद्य उदन्वन्तो वेदन्ते तव वीक्षितैः अत विश्वेश्व विश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्तिस्वकेषु मे स्नेहपाशमं छिन्दी दृढं पाण्डिषु विष्णुषु त्वयि मे नन्न विषय मतिर्मधुपते सततप्रतिमुद्वहतो मद्धामूगे योगं बुधन्वति श्रीकृष्ण कृष्ण सख विष्णुषभावनेतृप्राजन्यवंशगहनापवर्गवीर्य गोविन्द गोद्विजसुरार्तिहरावतारै योगेश्वरा किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते। Oh, this is 25 prayers of Kunti Maharani. She will continue. Actually, this is a very long discussions, but what we will try to cut short next chapter so that I can take a little more time. So I'll be behind Balram Shakti Pro's discussions also, because we are Roji already came. I think we completed this one. We are Namo Kinchana Vittaya. So we'll continue our discussion. I will send the notes of last 3 days at a time. So you will get the notes. But now here very important understanding what type of how we look at the things. So this is a what Kunti Maharani is praying. This is a very nice prayer. First is we understand God when we start serving His holy name. So because the image of God is enclosed in the name, and it is revealed through sincerely chanting and praying to the holy name. First, before chanting, we have to pray to the holy name. Please allow me to chant. And worshipping the visible image of God in the form of Godhead helps people to see Him in their heart, like that. Now, it is said that many things are there, but holy name. But here, this 5 verses, Queen Kunti, from this verse onwards, which she is going to recite. This is from Yata Rishikesha Devaki till next 4 verses. This shloka and 4 verses. What Kunti Maharani is telling is she is speaking the main quality of Lord, that is that we can understand about Lord. That is what? His mercy. Now she also talks indirectly about qualities that one need to possess to understand this mercy also. Both the things are there. The Lord is merciful to all, but only those who have pure heart can understand His mercy. That is, there can appreciate the mercy. Not everyone can recognize. Now and learn to admire sincerely that, oh, this is so merciful person. And the jealousy in the heart actually prevents a person from understanding Lord. Some people are envious of Lord. They cannot even acknowledge that He exists also. What to speak of accepting His mercy. So what is important is we need to do some. That's why Jananam Punnikarmanam. They have to perform some good activities like studying scriptures and all. Narmuni also says, idam hi pumsas tapasas sutasya va sishtasya suktasya cha buddhidattayo avichito artha kavibhur nirupitam yaduttama shloka gunanvarnam. So that we're doing so much that then we will be able to access the Supreme Lord. Now we have to constantly praise the Lord. That is what is the qualification. Now, in order to glorify, if we are staying with a person for long, then we can understand. We should be close enough. so that we can feel his qualities, and then we'll be able to. That means the more we are involved in the life the person is involved, more we can appreciate. Similarly, to appreciate Krishna's qualities, it is not just a formality, but it should be from the heart. We need to experience his participation in our life. Then we'll be able to appreciate, oh, Krishna actually is so tolerant. That we can easily appreciate. So many times I am doing mistake. Krishna is giving me opportunity. That means he's very tolerant. So we have to feel his experience. Now, but one may say that, okay, everyone has experience of being in touch with the Lord. God cares for everyone. But God is merciful. Problem is man is ungrateful. So that is the main problem. So it is said that, like, no, Kunti also uh, touched by Krishna's qualities. Now there is a difference. So here Kunti Maharani is comparing Krishna in her life. She says that Yata Rishikesha Kalena Devaki Kamsena Ruddhati Chirams. When we compare, there is a comparison out of pride or envy. These are the two reasons of comparison. But Kunti Maharani, when she is comparing herself with Devaki, it is not out of jealousy. That no, she's admiring Krishna's mercy. That is the difference. Always there is self-centeredness in prayers in initial stage. But when Krishna becomes the center of our prayer, then when we look any object or any person, we will see from Krishna's perspective. Oh Krishna, how much you are merciful to Devaki. Like that. So she's, when Prabhupada is writing here, the purport, so she's telling, oh Krishna, actually, this is 24. Yeah, 23 only. So we have to do 27. We'll try to cover today. I'll try to complete. We'll reach our target and we have to complete. Maybe next chapter I will go a little fast because I have to cover up also. But this chapter I felt it will be helpful. So I'm taking more time. I'm taking more time because I want to learn. So it is helpful for others also. Now she says that now here Kunti Maharani says, my heart is flowing with gratitude. You saved me, all my children. But for Devaki, your own brother, uh, your own brothers are killed because they are Krishna's brothers only. They are all killed. And before, no, killed before the eyes of his mother only. Krishna allowed his brother to be killed. Now another reason is says, because I suffered more than her. That's why you gave more protection to me. And Prabhupada also says here in the purport, right? He says that very important quality of devotees, they constantly feel special connection with Krishna. Connection of, they feel that they belong to Krishna. This quality is called mamatva. So Krishna is mine. He belongs to me. This is the feeling. So real service is impossible without mamatva. He's mine. I have to do service to him. I belong to Krishna. And now Krishna's friends, they all feel like that only. Whenever Krishna is coming or doing anything, they feel, oh, Krishna is sitting with me only and he's playing with me, he's eating with me. And all the gopis also, they also feel in the rasa dance Krishna is. So this is the feeling Krishna gives. And even the cows also feels like that. The Krishna is calling me only. And Krishna is gazing at me. And Kunti Maharani says, actually Devaki, she had a very terrible faith. Her wedding day only comes, of course, this I want to speak Janmashtami elaborately, very nice question. But what Kunti says is, all her children are dead. She lived in constant fear. But Kunti says that for her, when she's constantly waiting for you to appear, And because of that, she could not notice that her 6 children are killed. That's what Kunti says. And then you entered and she was very blissful. Of course, immediately you are born, then again she is separated for 12 years from Krishna. And then it was all good for her. But for Kunti Maharani, from beginning to end, it is from childhood, it is like that. So Devaki was protected by Vasudeva all the time. He was constantly beside her side. But for Kunti, it was not like that. Prabhupada also read. Yeah. So now Krishna comes to those who need him most. And that's why he's called Dina Bandhu. He is a friend of poor. So now Krishna shows great mercy to devotees who are in great danger. Sometimes the Lord only keeps his devotees in danger so that they become more helpless and take his shelter. So this is what is happening here. And now there is a next important thing here is what happened to the next shloka is Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshana Asat Sabhaya Vanamasa Krichata Made Mede Neha Maharatasta Domas Jasasmi Hare Brakshita. So this is now in this shloka, what Kunti is saying this Krishna is omnipresent. That means you are always with me. He's everywhere. That means you are always in every situation. You are there. You have saved me. Now, if you see that Prabhupada is giving all this, Kunti Maharani is giving all this list, how their sons are kept in all these situations. Now we can say that in all these situations, Kunti Maharani is able to see Krishna's hand. Krishna is not directly involved. How Bhima was poisoned and how he was saved? Because Bhima was bitten by the snakes and the poison which Duryodhana fed, it contracted. So where is the question of Krishna there? And when it comes to Yudhishthir, they were actually in Varnavad. Then Vidura informs that no, there is going to be fire there. And Hidimba and Bakasur, Bhima only killed. And when Dusyasana tried to disrobe Draupadi, she has her chastity. So she was protected by her chastity. We can say like that because even Ravana could not do anything for. There is we have the story of so many chaste ladies, Savitri, Anasuya, and all. They were protected. So Ravana could not do anything for Sita like that. And if you talk about the Kurukshetra battle, no, it is Yudhishthir. He himself had that piety, and Bhima's strength was there. Arjuna's courage is there, and then Draupadi's loyalty. All these things they were able to come out of the forest, or they were exiled and everything. And okay, when you saved from Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama, it was actually too late. You already saved so many times. Now here, but Kunti Maharani is not seeing like that. Kunti Maharani is seeing every time Krishna's hand. This is actually the important point I want to say today for today's message. Because we have few more things. But there are people who thank God in happiness as well as in sorrow. And they have gratitude in all situations. And this gratitude gradually turns into love. When we have gratitude, to chant in the morning becomes easy. I am speaking because I want it, don't have it. So in all events, we remember Krishna. And others are blinded by both in happiness and sorrow, both. When win comes, they take all the credit. They attribute all merits to themselves. And when they lose, they say fate is like that. And then they say Lord is like this. Because there is pride in the heart. That's why I have seen also cases people say, I did so much worship, but I lost so many things. Now I stopped worshipping. Done with everything. This is because of pride. Pride turns person into envy and he start becoming proud. Person cannot be thankful. And like you say, okay, one person he lost very close person of him, the family member. He says, "Oh, Lord took away. I am upset with him." Are he gave for so many years now. Thank for that. When he gave, he did not thank. When he's taking away, why are you upset? No, they cannot thank. And a thankful man cannot be proud. Proud person cannot be thankful. That is the problem. So, and a destiny of a thankful man is always full of great meaning. That is another important thing. So we can learn from many examples. But for a proud man, it's like a tale told by a fool, or an idiot. A tale told by an idiot. It's all full of noise and drag, and there is no meaning for it, like that. And both are ending up in the same school of life, but what happens is there is a two differences. Now here we will see the example from this shloka. We have to learn this very important lesson. Yeah, only humble heart can be can only express gratitude. Yes. One important here is, like, there are two very important examples, like here Duryodhana and Bhima. When the Pandavas, they became victorious, they started celebrating. Arjuna hit Duryodhana and he fell. And then there was drums were beaten and all people were laughing because they won the war. There were tears in their eyes. They are embracing each other and they are praising Bhima's feat that he actually mortally wounded Duryodhana. And Krishna raised it and said, okay. No more noise, no more celebrations. He said, okay, with all, then all quiet down. And Krishna said, see this Duryodhana, he is, he has no shame. He is a foolish fellow. He is stubborn and he is greedy. Now this rascal is reaping his fruits. This is what Krishna says, of all his crimes. And yet he is a king. So it's not right to mock at him. Still he was a king. So even though he's a rascal, he's reaping his. And just leave this Duryodhana alone, and for his consensus, he does not even deserve to be thought about. This much Krishna tells him. Fortune has smiled at him, and all his henchmen and everything is destroyed. Now nothing to do with him. Just leave from here. Now when these words were heard by Duryodhana, he he became very upset. He somehow he raised on his and elbows and he was hissing and he tells to Krishna, how dare you call it? How dare you call me a look? Oh, so, and he says, oh son of slaves of Kamsa, do you think I do not see how you did all the tricks? I did not know that you signed Bhima to hit me below the thighs. Do you know that you taught Pandavas how to kill Bhishma, how to kill Karna, how to kill Drona, how to kill Bhurushrava? You did all these things. And now, but if it were not you, my enemies could never have defeated me. Because of you, they defeated me. And then he said, Krishna looked at Duryodhana and said, oh, son of Gandhari, oh, Duryodhana, you and your brothers were killed by your own misdeeds. You don't forget that what you did. You have, how I asked you to return the kingdom to Pandavas. Even 5 villages, they were ready. But out of greed only you refused. And you should be killed then only. And when you insulted Draupadi in public, you are trying to undress her. That time what happened? You are not remembering all these things. I promised Draupadi actually. This is a very important, very nice. Krishna tells, I promised Draupadi that Himalayas will become dust. Oceans will dry, sky will fall. But I will not break my word. I promise you that whoever offended you will fall to the ground bleeding. So I am keeping my word. So you deserve the same for insulting Draupadi. Then Duryodhana, he says actually, Krishna, you say whatever you like. but I lived a glorious life. This is Duryodhana. I studied Vedas, I distributed charity, I performed sacrifices, I cared for the subjects like a father. I was good king. I ruled my vast kingdom from ocean to ocean, and I walked on the heads of my enemies. My friends loved me, my enemies hated me. Great kings honored me, great warriors bowed down to me, and nobody could defeat me. I have lived a happy life, and now paradise is awaiting me. Is there anyone on the earth more fortunate than me? So when Duryodhana said this, even Gandharvas, Apsaras, they became excited. They began to praise Duryodhana, and they rained flowers on Duryodhana. This is very, very important thing for us to understand. And uh, the delighted people, they applauded and they praised the deeds, hero. But important thing is Krishna cannot be fooled. This is the point. What happens? Na? This is actually a material success, but the heart is not changed. He continued to remain ignorant of the reality. This is actually the point. Yeah, Materna Krishna. So, Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram Punah Punah Charvita Charvananam. So, what is no Savidvara Hoshtakarihi Samsta Purusha Pushuhu Nayat Karna Patobeta Jatunagri. Who praises whom? Savid Ushtavarah Kare. People like hawks, dogs, camels, and asses praise people of that caliber. So if you are getting praise from Apsaras or from Krishna, that actually we have to check ourselves. If Gandharas and Apsaras are praising us, that means something. So that's why the celebrities are praised. If you have, say, 10,000 followers in Instagram, then be careful. This is Savit Maharashtra who is praising us. If you have 10 devotees who are interested in what you are speaking, that is more safer than 10,000 followers in Instagram. Otherwise, because who is praising us? So the point is, then Duryodhana lives his life with bitterness and anger. That's all. But Pandavas left, and they went to the empty camp of opposite, defeated opponent, and it is all empty. And then this pastime, and Krishna tells Arjuna, "You get down." And Krishna jumps from it. It gets burnt. He says, "How is it?" I said, "Yeah, this is already burnt with so many weapons, but I have already protecting it all the time." So for 18 days, this is also very important. One nice point here. I want you to listen what Krishna tells in Mahabharata. This is a very nice point. He says that 18 days your chariot was prime target. All the arrows loaded with powerful mantras should have long ago destroyed, but only I have made it. So then he tells to Pandavas that when I arrived at King Virata's place just before the war, Arjuna greeted me with words. And Krishna says, I never can forget these words. When I came to Arjuna, Krishna said, O Keshava, you are like my brother and my best friend, and you are dearest to me than anyone else in the world. I surrender my life to you. No one else can protect me. That's all. So this is actually what we have to pray every day. Krishna, you are my best friend. You are dearer to me than anybody else. No one else can protect me. I surrender to you. And then Krishna says, I promise you, Partha, not even a hair from your head will fall. So, yeah, they were all protected. Only Jared won't. So, Krishna says, I will keep my word. And then all the Pandavas, they get the tears of gratitude listening to Krishna. So, now for us, sadhana is gratitude. This is very difficult to know that Lord Krishna is behind everything. He comes to his devotee, helps, he fulfills their desires, and he himself also upsets our plans. But he himself cares for us and help them to come more quickly to him, all these things. So sometimes he keeps us in difficult situations, but gratitude is actually what will help us. It will help us to pass through all the sufferings and then transform ourselves, that heart, into love for him. That's like people who are like Duryodhana, who are very proud. For them, it is difficult. Like God has little interest in them because they do not want to be indebted to anything like that. So by in that way, God turns away from them. So now here another important shloka here comes is Kunti says Vipada Santuta Shashwat. This is the highlight verse. one last point I'll tell what Kunti Maharani is telling here next shloka. Yeah, before just one point why pride comes. I wanted to just tell that point and then we will go over this shloka. Now, so such people like Duryodhana and Lord turns their back to them. This is okay, carry on with your karma. But for them now, fortune seems to smile at them, like Duryodhana and all. Their time, their pride grows for them. They get more and more beauty, talent, power, wealth, because they are and because ultimately they become the source of their misery. Anger eventually. So there are three categories of people. This is very important. There are people, many of them like are there are Duryodhana like mentality is there. In Duryodhana like mentality, they rejoice in victory and they grieve in defeat. And they also boast about their achievements in public. I did this much, my earning is this much, I have 2 houses, 3 houses, big car, small car, my dress is this, I purchased new this, and they put in the status. And but inside accumulation of poison of resentment against others, against life, against Lord also. But there is something uh, very important thing is there is hope of happiness in this material world. It is difficult to imagine how we can be happy just with Krishna. Without mobile, without WhatsApp, without all these apps, how can we be happy? Just with Krishna? Not possible. What distinguishes us from Duryodhana is all these qualities to some extent of Duryodhana is there. But what distinguishes that we have intelligence to understand that it is useless to fight against Krishna. This we understand. Fortunately, we cannot fight against Krishna. So that's why we bow down to Krishna and then we pray. That time we come to the camp of Pandavas. So, uh, how to feel gratitude for the Lord and how to appreciate His participation in our destiny? It's a sadhana. It's actually it's gratitude, repeating Krishna's name, chanting regularly. We are looking at the form of Lord and trying to understand in mercy. We have to make some endeavors in that direction. And sadhana had sufficiently purified our heart, then we'll be able to follow what Kunti Maharani is going to tell in this verse. Vipadasantata shashvatatra tatra jagatguru bhavato darshanam syada punarbhava darshanam. So this is actually when a person has practiced gratitude as sadhana, then he can speak this verse. We have discussed something. Few more points I want to discuss. So here all this vipada, it's actually danger, suffering, misery, poverty, and all these things. So they're saying, "Oh, you are Jagat Guru, teacher of the world. All the trials, vipadas you have sent has become my wealth now." Sampada. Vipadas Santas. Vipadas. So Vipada becomes Sampada. so so this is for everything, torments and bitterness. So all these things, whatever you have sent, there are many things about it, but all people have some goals in life. But we have to understand what can bring us happiness and get rid of suffering and for once for all. This understanding is based on experience or faith, which is ultimately we need faith to bring the real happiness. And everybody has experience of material happiness, but that's why we all strive for material happiness, many of the people. But the problem in the material happiness is it is actually not eternal, and that's the problem. And we can happiness, it cannot actually, this is dukkhale mashashvatam, what Krishna is telling. So Prabhupada is also writing in this purport about it. So now we will I have spoken on this verse. We'll see. Janmaishwara Sutasri Vedamana the Pumam Naivatam Datamai. I am little in hurry. Now here, this is a very important one point I'll tell here, that there is cataract that covers the cataract of experience of material pleasure. It actually obscures our vision and prevents us from seeing the true nature of this material world. And this cataract should be cured. And what is the medicine for this cataract? Kunti is saying, difficulties that come to us, they are actually medicine by the Lord. And he is Jagat Guru, the spiritual teacher of the world. And Krishna sends these difficulties because he knows we are sick and we need cure. So the difficulties are actually medicine to cure us from the disease of this cataract. When one realizes that he is sick, he is ready to take even bitter medicines also. So these are the sufferings are like our bitter medicines, which will help ultimately to see the reality of this world. That is one of the important lessons is. And to heal from the disease and to get rid of fear, we have to gradually learn to remember Krishna. Like that. And another thing is the bitter medicine of suffering does not help everyone, because it takes certain amount of piety also. Not everybody who gets suffering, they can. This is another. Then Krishna will give some other medicines. You should be ready for that if you are not understanding. So I am also learning. So some people, they become more and more resentful, but some people when they get suffering, they actually become purified, they become humble, they renew themselves, and their heart becomes more softer and more receptive to even others suffering also. But others, they become very bitter, violent, and because they don't have sufficient piety. And now How to get it? The Sukruti by mercy of Vaishnavas. This is what we all know. And now people may have faith. This is a very important point. Please try to understand. People may have faith, but this faith on Lord and all, but if that is not actually they believe in the Lord and all, but that is not actually, that is Laukiki Shraddha. That is not actually Swabhave, that is not Shastra Shraddha. What happens when they are tested in these difficulties? Then they give up this faith. But those who have true faith, they, in spite of all situations, they continue to remain with Krishna. This is the difference. Many people have faith. They have faith on demigods also, but that is not used. The faith means to see Krishna's hand in all situations. Like, oh, so much is there. Okay, no Kinchana Vittaya, this is the shloka we have to take. At least we'll do 2 purports today, 27 and 28. Namo Kinchana Vittaya, Nibuddha Guna Vittaya, Atmanama Shantaya, Kaivalya Pate Namaha. My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the metal modes of nature. You are self-satisfied and therefore you are the most gentle and master of the monists. A living being is finished as soon as there is nothing to possess. Therefore, a living being cannot be, in the real sense of the term, a renouncer. A living being renounces something for gaining something more valuable. A student sacrifices his childish proclivity to gain better education. A servant gives up his job for a better job. Similarly, a devotee renounces the material world not for nothing but for something tangible in spiritual value. Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and others gave up their worldly pomp and prosperity for the sake of the service of the Lord. They were big men in the worldly sense. The Goswamis were ministers in the government service of Bengal. And Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was the son of a big Jamindar of his time. But they left everything to gain something superior to what they previously possessed. The devotees are generally without material prosperity, but they have a very secret treasure house in the lotus feet of the Lord. There is a nice story about Srila Sanatan Goswami. He had a touchstone with him, and this touchstone was left in a pile of refuse. A needy man took it, but later on wondered why the valuable stone was kept in such a neglected place. He therefore asked him for the most valuable thing, and then he gave him the holy name of the Lord. Akinchana means one who has nothing to give materially. A factual devotee or Mahatma does not give anything material to anyone because he had already left all material assets. He can, however, deliver the supreme asset, namely the personality of God, because he is the only property of factual devotee. The touchstone of Sanatan Goswami, which was thrown in the rubbish, was not the property of the Goswami. Otherwise, it would not have been kept in such a place. A specific example is given for the neophyte devotees just to convince them that the material hankering and spiritual advancement go ill together. Unless one is able to see everything as spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. A spiritual master like Srila Sanatan Goswami, although personally able to see everything as spiritual, set this example for us only because we have no spiritual vision. Advancement of material vision or material civilization is a great stumbling block for spiritual advancement. Such material advancement entangles the living being in the bondage of material body, followed by all sorts of material misery. Such material advancement is called anartha, or things not wanted. Actually, this is so. The present context of material advancement are one uses lipstick at a cost of 50 cents. And there are so many unwanted things which are all products of material conception of life. By diverting attention to so many unwanted things, human energy is spoiled without achievement of spiritual realization, a prime necessary of human life. The attempt to reach the moon is another example of spoiling energy because even if the moon is reached, the problems of life will not be solved. The devotees of the Lord are called akinchanas because they have practically no material assets. Such material assets are all products of the three modes of mental nature. They fall spiritual energy, and the less we possess such products of mental nature, the more we have a good chance for spiritual progress. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no direct connection with material activities. All his acts and deeds which are exhibited even in this material world are spiritual and thus unaffected by the modes of mental nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that all his acts, even his appearance and disappearance in and out of the material world, are transcendental, and that one who knows this perfectly shall not take birth again in this material world, but will go back to Godhead. The material disease is due to hankering after the hankering and lording out over material nature. This hankering is due to an interaction of three modes of material nature, and neither the Lord nor the devotees have attachment for such false enjoyment. Therefore, the Lord and the devotees are called Nivritta Gunavritti. The perfect Nivritta Gunavritti is the Supreme Lord because he never becomes attached to the modes of mental nature. Whereas a living being has such a tendency, some of them are entrapped by the illusory attraction of mental nature. Because the Lord is the property of the devotees and the devotees are the property of Lord reciprocally, the devotees are certainly transcendental to the modes of mental nature. That is the natural conclusion. Such unalloyed devotees are distinct from the mixed devotees who approach the Lord for mitigation of miseries and poverty, or because of inquisitiveness and speculation. The unalloyed devotees of the Lord are transcendentally attached to one another. For the others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate, and therefore he is called Atmarama, self-satisfied. Self-satisfied as he is the master of all monists who seek to merge into the existence of Lord. Such monists merge within the personal effulgence of the Lord, called the Brahmajyoti. But devotees enter into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, which are never to be misunderstood as material. Next shloka we take. Manyetvam kalam ishanam anadinitram vibhum samam charantam sarvatra bhutanam yamnitakali. My Lord, I consider your Lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller, without beginning and end, the all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. The dissension between living beings are due to social intercourse. Kuntidev knew that Krishna was neither her nephew nor an ordinary family member of her parental house. She knew perfectly well that Krishna is primeval Lord who lives in everyone's heart as a super soul Paramatma. Another name of Paramatma feature of the Lord is Kala or eternal time. Eternal time is the witness of all our actions, good and bad, and thus resultant reactions are destined by Him. It is no use saying that we do not know why and for what we are suffering. We may forget the misdeeds for which we may suffer at this present moment, but we must remember that Paramatma is our constant companion. Therefore, He knows everything past, present, and future. And because the Paramatma feature of Lord destines all actions and reactions, He is the supreme controller also. Without His sanction, not a blade of grass can. The living beings are given as much freedom as they deserve, and misuse of that freedom is the cause of suffering. The devotee of the Lord do not misuse their freedom, and therefore they are the good sons of the Lord. Others who misuse freedom are put into miseries destined by the eternal Kala. The Kala offers the conditioned souls both happiness and miseries. It is all predestined by eternal time. As we have miseries uncalled for, so we have happiness also without being asked for. They are all predestined by Kala. No one is therefore either an enemy or friend of the Lord. Everyone is suffering and enjoying the results of his own destiny. This destiny is made by the living entity in course of social intercourse. Everyone here wants to lord it over material nature, and thus everyone creates his own destiny under the supervision of Supreme Lord. He is all pervading, and therefore he can see everyone's activity, and because the Lord has no beginning or end, he is known also as eternal time Kala. Take two more verses. Naveda kaschit bhagavan chikirshritam taveha manasya nirnam vidambanam nayasya kaschit daitosya karhichit deshchasyasmin vishwamatirinam. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastime which appear to be human and are so misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. The Lord's mercy upon the fallen souls is equally distributed. He has no one as a specific object of hostility. The very conception of the personality of God as a human being is misleading. His pastimes appear to be exactly like human being, but actually they are transcendental and without any tinge of metal contamination. He is undoubtedly known as partial to his pure devotees, but in fact he is neither partial as much as sun is neither partial to anyone. By utilizing the sun's rays, sometimes even the stones becomes valuable, whereas a blind man cannot see the sun. Although there are enough rays, sun rays before him, darkness and light are two opposite conceptions, but it does not mean that the sun is partial in distributing its rays. Sun rays are open to everyone, but the capacities of the receptacles differ. Foolish people think that the devotional service is flattering the Lord to get special mercy. Actually, the pure devotees who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are not a mercantile community. A mercantile house renders service to someone in exchange for values. The pure devotee does not render service unto the Lord for such exchange. Therefore, the full mercy of the Lord is open for him. Suffering and needy men, inquisitive person, or philosophers make temporary connections with the Lord to serve a particular purpose. When the purpose is served, there is no more relation with the Lord. The suffering man, if he is pious at all, prays to the Lord for his recovery. But as soon as the recovery is over, in most cases, the suffering man no longer cares to keep any connection with the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is open for him, but he is reluctant to receive. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a mixed devotee. Those who are completely against the service of the Lord are considered to be in the subject of be in the object darkness. Those who ask for the Lord's favor only at the time of necessity are partial recipients of mercy of the Lord. Those who are 100% engaged in the service of the Lord are fully recipient of the mercy of the Lord. Such partiality is in receiving the Lord's mercy is related to the recipient, and it is not due to the partiality of the Lord, all merciful Lord. When the Lord descends to this material world by his all merciful energy, he plays like a human being, and therefore it appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees only. But this is not a fact. Despite such apparent manifestation of partiality, his mercy is equally distributed in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. All persons who died in the fight before the presence of the Lord got salvation without the necessary qualifications, because death before the presence of Lord purifies the passing soul from the effects of all sins. Therefore, the dying man gets a place somewhere in the transcendental. Somehow or other, if someone puts himself open in the sun rays, he is sure to get the requisite benefits both by heat and by ultraviolet ray. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Lord is never partial. It is wrong for people in general to think him to be partial. So, I'll take one more. At least some purpose we'll read, then I can take the descriptions a little more. Janma karma cha vishwatmana jasya kuturatmanaha tiryanna shishya tadatyanta vidambanam. Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work though you are inactive, and you take birth although you are vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals and sages and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering but also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of human being. The Lord is all pervading super soul of all existence. And yet he appears in the form of a or amongst the animals, and in the form of human beings as Rama, Krishna, etc., in the form of Rishi like Narayana, in the form of an aquatic like fish, yet it is said that he is unborn and he has nothing to do. The true, the Shruti mantra, it is said that the Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. No one is equal to or greater than him. He has multifold energies and everything is performed by him perfectly by automatic knowledge, strength, and activity. All these statements prove without any question that the Lord's activities, forms, and deeds are all inconceivable to our limited thinking power, and because He is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible in Him. Therefore, no one can calculate Him exactly. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. He cannot be understood by the Vedic knowledge, but He can be easily understood by the pure devotees because they are ultimately related with him. The devotees therefore knew that although he appears among the animals, he is not animal, nor a man, nor a rishi, nor fish. He is eternally the Supreme Lord in all circumstances. Okay, maybe tomorrow onwards I'll take till 9:30 and complete this chapter. So much is there. 43 shlokas, 10 more shlokas just to complete this, and after that also this chapter has so much. It has 52 shlokas. So we are still in 31, 30. So thank you all very much. Any questions? Anybody else? Okay, we'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Right.